Hey folks, here OS Reviews. You're watching our video review of the AomeTech Mini LCD projector. This has a 800 by 480 resolution, which is a little bit low by today's standards. It's not full HD or anything like that, but this is a very small and easy to carry around projector that sells on Amazon for $105. Upon a superficial examination, I thought that was a bit expensive just because the DB Power mini projector that we also reviewed sells for only $50-60. That's half the price. However, what you're paying here is for a design that's much more striking, a user interface that's a lot easier to use, and also an experience that's a bit better in terms of the resolution. Even though they're both technically 800 by 480, I felt that this was a bit more crisp and the colors were more accurate and responsive. We'll show you guys that in a moment. On the side, you have some specifications about the unit. Now, because this uses LED, the bulb is rated at 30,000 hours, which is extremely long. There's also an HDMI port in addition to a VGA input, so that you have multiple different sources to select from. In the box, you have access to a RGB cable, so if you don't want to use VGA or HDMI, you can opt for this. The cable length is a little bit short, however. There's no VGA cable and no HDMI cable that's included, unfortunately. You also have access to a remote that uses IR technology on the very top. It works pretty decently, and the spacing between the keys is nice and large. However, I found the battery life to be a little bit short. It takes two AAA batteries, which are also not included in the box. And you have access to the 5-way navigation D-pad, various input modes, play, pause, power keys, menu keys, zoom keys, and volume keys all on here. There's also access to a user guide, which is pretty well documented, and it shows you the various functions in Chinese as well as English, even though it's in black and white and not in full color. And finally, of course, there is just the projector itself. The power cable is also on the shorter side of the spectrum, so the length could be a bit longer for a future iteration model. Taking a look at the design, it is definitely striking. It's very modern looking and quite reminiscent of the HTC Touch Diamond, a smartphone that we checked out a few years back. It has a prism shape that is very modern looking, and you have a mixture between brushed and matte surfaces that looks pretty cool. On the top, you have access to all the controls, including the power keys, OK key, selection keys left and right, as well as the input key to swap between the HDMI, VGA, as well as RGB. There's also a escape key to go back. These controls are all tactile, responsive. There's access to a IR receiver, which is on the back. I wished it was on the front. However, it is there. It's pretty responsive. There's also a VGA input slot there. On the sides, you have access to two USB inputs for directly plugging a thumb drive, and there is a software, CPU, and UI on here that can directly read files such as movies on a thumb drive or an SD card, and it will play that back directly, which is pretty cool. That includes pictures, songs, and videos. So here's your SD slot. There's also that HDMI input, as well as a headphone port. If you don't want to use the built-in speakers, there's also an AV port for the RGB cable that's provided as well. The front features a lens cap that pops out like so. There's the knobs that allows you to change the focus. The first one makes the lens pop out like so, and the second one changes the focus ever so slightly. It works pretty nicely, and there's also the standard AC adapter cord on the side. The bottom features a screw that you can use to change the height of the projector to tilt it up and down. You also have access to 4 rubber feet, which prevents the unit from sliding around when you place it onto a surface or a desk. There's also a ventilation grill, which prevents overheating on the projector. So design-wise, we are definitely impressed. There's even an LED strip onto the sides that's going to glow white. It's very gentle white when it's powered on, which is extremely cool and even adds to that futuristic look. Next, we're going to give a quick demo of how the projector works when we turn it on. So this is what the projected image looks like. As you can see, it's quite bright. It's also fairly crisp and easy to see. The colors are all very accurate, and I found that the performance on here is a lot better than the other mini projector sold by DB Power that we recently reviewed. You can see it's actually very sharp also around the edges, so this actually seems like an actual 720p HD projector as opposed to only a 800 by 480 resolution projector. The lights, again, in terms of navigation, is also quite simple and easy to use. We have access to multiple controls, so I can select from the various modes like the ebook reader mode. There's also a photo mode. I can go for music as well as the movie mode, and currently we're trying to play that back through an SD card or a USB socket located on the side of the projector. If I want to swap the actual input, I can also do that by tapping on the key over here to the HDMI and say I want to use that. I want to tap on OK next. So let's try that one more time. There we go, and I have a computer connected currently, and you can see that after a few moments, we can still see the text and everything appear on screen. It's not crisp enough for you to read every single word on screen if you have a page that's very dense with text, as you can see here, but for the most part, it does a pretty good job. And again, you have very accurate colors. You can see any comics, you can use it for lectures if you are a teacher, for business meetings, and of course, you can enjoy videos as well. So here's a brief video clip that we have that we can play back. And the actual sound is now going through the speaker on the projector, which actually works quite nicely. It's a little bit tinny, but it does a good job if you are watching a few movies here and there. It would probably be better if you plugged in your own speakers, however, if you wanted a louder sound in addition to something that's a bit more rich. But overall, it does a good job for playing back images, videos. If we go into full screen mode, you can see that the experience is actually quite good. Again, colors are accurate, frame rates are fast, and it seems to perform better than a lot of other projectors we've seen even at 720p HD resolution, which is a lot saying since this is a very small projector with a resolution that's on paper shouldn't be this good. With this mini LED projector, AomeTech proves that specs aren't everything. Despite having only a 800 by 480 resolution, we found that images and videos were crisp, responsive, and quite bright. It can get up to 100 inches for the projected image, and we were also pleased with the overall UI of the projector. The control set is intuitive and the design is quite striking, making this one of our favorite mini projectors that we've ever reviewed. There are a few shortcomings, including an AC adapter cord that could be a bit longer. However, it's a great projector for the price. To learn more information about this unit, be sure to read our full written review. This has been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews.